from Alderman Norfolk.
Speaker, to Minister of Natural Resources, I've raised the question of Asian carp devastation with your predecessor, and he told me to go lobby my federal cousins. So I did talk to my federal counterpart, and I'm pleased to announce that they've tackled the problem. Alderman Norfolk Cabinet Minister Diane Finley and Bruce Gray, Owen Sound, Larry Miller announced the opening of a state-of-the-art research facility in Burlington that will allow the analysis of samples in Canada, rather than waiting on American facilities to do the work. The federal government also committed to more monitoring at detection sites and collaborative research with the United States.
Good work, Toby.
So, the ball is in your court, Minister. My question? When is your ministry going to go a step beyond the ban on live Asian carp and require any fish imported for food be gutted?
Thank you.
Speaker, I want to thank the member for the question. He absolutely raises an issue that is of serious concern to those of us on this side of the House, and I think all parties, including both opposition parties. I want to thank him for the question. I would say the obvious response for me as the new Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry would be to congratulate the former minister on the introduction in the legislature of the Invasive Species Act, which in fact was introduced into the legislature not that long ago. And as a result of the opposition parties making a decision that an election was necessary, that particular piece of legislation did not have an opportunity to come forward. Obviously, Speaker, it's our intention to reintroduce that legislation at the very earliest opportunity. Obviously, that speaks very clearly to how importantly we take this issue, as well as the issue around all invasive species in the province of Ontario. So we look forward to that opportunity to reintroduce this legislation at the earliest opportunity.
Certainly, you know that if Asian carp do become established in the Great Lakes, it'll devastate our commercial fishery, our recreational fishery, our boating industry. Minister, I traveled on my own dime to testify before the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on alternatives for the Chicago area waterways. When I read the final transcripts of agencies, individuals who testified, no representation from the Ontario government. Why does your government still not take this seriously enough to not even provide comments, let alone redirect necessary funding? We know MNR has finally been allowed by this government to table legislation, not that the carp are going to obey it, but when will government resources be reallocated to your ministry, to MNR, to help steer off this clear and present danger?
Thank you. Minister. Be seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Speaker, again, thank the member for his question, and I will recommend and commend and thank the federal government for their investment. I did receive a note on this last week or 2 weeks ago. Their investment, I think the lab is in Burlington. It's welcomed. It's proactive. We thank them for their investment, speaking very clearly to initiatives of great concern to ours. But I would say to the member that, as is often the case, Ontario was proactive on the issue and, in fact, moved on this issue far before this announcement last week about the lab in Burlington. Again, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, a very short time ago, where through our government we made an investment of $15 million or so in an invasive species research centre in Sault Ste. Marie. In the former minister's riding. So in fact, Speaker, I would say to the member, the legislation was there. We've invested in our own lab and research centre in Sault Ste. Marie on this issue. So it speaks very clearly to obviously how seriously we're taking the issue. As I've said, we look forward to the earliest opportunity to reintroduce the legislation, the invasive species.
Thank you. New question. The leader of the
Thank you, Speaker.